evening, campus. It is I, Kieran, and we are going to discuss some Welsh literature on an Instagram poll. You chose the next book for me to read, Bad Ideas / Chemicals by Lloyd Markham, which everyone, including me, absolutely loved. This like B-movie horror 80s. What is this cover? Which you definitely would not expect from a book that was released in 2017. And thank you again to the lovely people at Parthian who give me a free copy of this to review. Very small book, very weird cover, extremely weird premise. This book, we start off with the person on the front, Cassandra Fish, who wears a spacesuit everywhere. To give you some idea, these are some of the photos that we used to promote the book when it was the spacesuit that Cassandra wears is a film prop from They Came from Alpha Centauri. Now, after watching this film, Cassandra believes that she is from Alpha Centauri. She is an alien and she is awaiting from her parents to come back. She is waiting for the portal to open so she can be home. But what grounds her here on Earth are her friends, Billy, Fox and Alice, of which are some of the weirdest bunch. And how we come across them are at a open mic event where one of them is a noise musician. And if you don't know what noise music sounds like, here's a 2-second clip. As someone who loves the sun and drone music, I'll be honest, noise music is where my limit's at. We also have a sapphic fantasy playing in the head of Alice, and later on she will try to engage Cassandra in living out that fantasy. And really, this is what this book is about. It is about people's fantasies, but these fantasies aren't enthralling, they aren't wondrous, they aren't captivating. Their fantasies are something to break them out of the mundane of being a 20-something person living in the metropolis. Yep, this is another story about people being 20, not knowing what to do with their lives, that takes over the course of one day. How many books have we had based on that? A lot. Does this one stand out from the crowd? I mean, its premise makes it stand out of the crowd. Not only is this a roach-infested planet, but everyone is obsessed with this drug. Goat, or goatee. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce it, but I'll put it up on the screen. There's every Tom, Dick, Roach and Harry in this fictionalized Welsh village of Gorgree, which Markham explains is given its name as the person who claimed the name just made it up on the spot. I'm not sure why you had to give us that detail. There's a lot of details in this book which I didn't see was necessary. There's a bit where someone spells out the word farmer but doesn't say the E, and the characters tell him that he's forgot the E. It's very self-aware sometimes, but some of the prose in this is so like self-aware that you can kind of see Markham going, "Hi, that's clever." It didn't work for me. So some of the prose just didn't work for me. It's too self-aware, but it's not done like in a clever fashion. I don't think Markham's trying to be clever, or I don't think he's trying to be smart, but there's this sense of he knows how aware this text is, and it kind of feeds into that like B-movie-esque where like the characters know it's like a stupid thing to mention, or I don't. It feeds in, it does feed into this like 80s B-movie like expression where everyone's kind of like in on the joke. It's like, it's not meant to be good. I'm not sure Markham wants that from this book. But some of the prose just didn't work for me. But what did work for me was this obsession with goat or goatee. From this moment on, I'm just going to say goatee, because that's how it was said in my head as I was reading this book. But goatee, all capitalized. Everyone is obsessed with getting their hands on it. Throughout this narrative, we see the characters move towards goatee. It has a very similar impact as Soma in Brave New World, to kind of like give you a little bit of sense of what goatee is. It's similar to Soma. You think you're being tethered down a drug narrative, something that Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas would want to bring you down. But Markham brings us into the backstories of these characters and how they come to be, and that really is the main driving force of this book, is how the characters end up to be these 20-something people who exist. They just exist. There's nothing going for them. There's nothing they can do. They just exist. This is their life. And while Cassandra and her friends are trying to figure out what they are to do with their lives, the standout, the stellar moment of this book is the introduction of Louis, who is a temporary worker and arrives at his job that he's done before, and his role is to give people an injection, and they sign off to say that they want to kill themselves, and he is the person who gives them their wish. And he injects this lady, and her last words are "I." He doesn't know what the rest of the sentence was going to be, and he is plagued by what were these last words. I've written out that significant pronoun, I. That individual who's able to identify themselves. He's looking for a way in order to identify himself in a society which gives him nothing, that gives him no purpose, that gives him no fulfillment, that gives him no joy. Louis is very much a two-dimensional character, but Markham's writing and this situation builds him up through the dimension, and to the end we have a fully formed character. He's able to see where he's gone wrong, where he's gone right, where he needs to be, which is the same as Cassandra. She's waiting for the beam me up Scotty moment to take her away from everything. But though those are the themes, like, what is this book? It's really difficult. I was having a look at the praise section on the back, and someone calls it post-goth, which I don't really agree with. It's got a cyberpunk element. It's quite Gibson-esque, but it doesn't go far enough. Apart from Cassandra wearing her spacesuit, and Gibson's prose style, which isn't for me. Kind of, very, very slightly. Someone also calls this post-Brexit. I don't know. No, I don't think so. Now this is the one where I think kind of gets it right. It's by Christopher Meredith and says, Markham's town of Gorgry isn't quite dystopia or satire or magic realism. Maybe it's dirty, dystopic, and magic non-realism. And as as odd as it sounds, I kind of agree. It's got this kind of like, it's kind of got this like spit element to it. It's globular. It's one cohesive whole, but as these tendrils, as the spray spatters across the pavement, you know where it's all coming from. And it's not realistic in any way. You're not going to really like identify with any of these characters, as you'll identify with them as much as someone sticking a compass through your eyebrow, but you'll understand where he's coming from. It's a quirky little book that won't take you too long to read, and the how Markham's kind of glued these broken fragments together is interesting. This is a quirky book and it's not going to be for everyone, and it's not as if the storyline fits these pieces together in an interesting way. The puzzle all fits, it's just that Markham's glued them together and added some stickers on top that seem at times unnecessary, but other times he's able to add to a story pretty much about nothing, but to make it interesting. This who the target audience is, I don't know, but this is very cult. I don't think I'm the intended reader for this, but I will say this is praise. If someone wants to say what a really weird story, or a could you recommend something that's going to like melt my head a bit and make me go like, why would I want, like, what like Bad Ideas Chemicals is going to come up time and time again. You're either going to absolutely love this, or you'll be like me and think it's kinda okay. I didn't invest too much time into it. It's just a really weird book. It's a really weird book, and maybe that's what Lloyd Markham wants me to feel. And he's made it. He's done it. He's done what he set out to do by that point. It's just really odd. Rating wise, had Louis' story not been in this, I would have ripped this book apart. But Louis' story is so interesting, and that's the moment that really stands out. And I think it's a shame that this secondary character really overshadows Cassandra's at some point. For me, this is a 4 out of 10. It's just a really weird book.